Southern Art Gallery, and today we're going to be talking about how to use complementary colors, what complementary colors are, and I'm going to give you some examples of how to use complementary colors to make a neutral. So a complementary color is a color on the color wheel that is directly across the color wheel. So if we look at the color wheel and we look at blue, then we go straight across. We said this is an old color wheel, so it's somewhat faded, but you see that the complement of blue is orange. You see the complement of violet is yellow. And you see the complement of red is green. And those are the three most predominant complementary color combinations that people talk about or that people use for various effects in their art. So what I've done here is I have taken a lemon yellow and I have made a violet with ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this little palette and we're going to dull this yellow down using its complement. And if I want to do that, all I would do is I would take the yellow and I would add a tiny bit of the violet, and that gives me a much more muted, dulled down yellow. And if I wanted it even more muted, I would add more of the violet, and it gives us somewhat of a darker tone. And if I still wanted it darker, and you can see it starts leaning toward brown. So let's make up some more of our violet by taking our ultramarine blue. Make sure you can see what I'm doing here. Ultramarine blue, quinacridone magenta, and get a nice middle gray violet, and continue to add that to our yellow. And these muted colors are not beautiful colors. They are very valuable colors though. When you're in, like, this is a wonderful shadow color. If you were painting a daffodil and you needed a shadow, if you needed a warmer shadow, you could go in this range. And if you needed a cooler shadow, you could head over this way. And so if you continue to add the violet, we'll just move over here because we're mostly violet now. You can see that we push more toward the violet, but we still have a much more muted, duller color than we have over here, because the complement neutralizes, they neutralize each other, and they make for a, let's see if we can get one more darker value in here. Let's do it again. So a complement basically neutralizes or dulls down that which is across from it. Okay, let's just we're mostly violet with just a little bit of yellow now in that. And as you can see, we have a lovely violet that's still a muted violet. So if I needed to soften a violet or to mute it or push it back in the distance, if I added just the smallest amount of yellow, which is this complement, I can get this nice muted violet. And this color and this color are perfect for distant mountains. So you will find that you actually, once you start using complements, you find that they're actually quite valuable. So let's take this time, let's take the other, one of the most common mixtures for making neutrals, and that would be blue, and orange. So let's take our ultramarine blue, and this is an ultramarine blue deep, and we will mix that with an orange, and we'll just mix our own orange. This time we'll mix with a little Pyro red. This is actually Bright Red by Senoyer. So we know that to make an orange, a vivid orange, we need a yellow and we need a red. So here we have a nice, not a very vivid orange, but a very nice orange. So we took that, we'll put that over here. And it's good to make these little charts just to remind yourself of the different options that you have. And because the ultramarine is the stronger color, we will add it to the orange slowly and see what we get. So this time we'll start in this direction, and we already have a nice brown. I probably pushed that a little too fast, but that's okay. We should end up with a total neutral in the middle if I do this properly. A nice gray. See, we're getting much more to the grays now. And we'll move over to the mostly the ultramarine here. And there is our perfect, beautiful neutral gray, which is what you should get when you mix the blue and an orange. You should get a really nice gray. And if you want to push that gray a little bit to the blue side, that's probably a bit too much, too soon, but we'll go back over that. There we go, that's better. Okay, so there we have a nice blue-gray. Then we'll push it a little bit more to the blue side. Perhaps a little bit more ultramarine in that. And you have to just fool around with these until you get kind of what you want. There's a gorgeous, gorgeous muted blue right there. It's a beautiful color. It's a blue-gray, I would call it. Let's see, a little bit darker. Let's put a little more blue in that. Let's see what we get there. We get a slightly more blue-gray. So you have a whole range of neutrals here. You have the option to go all the way from a brown over here to a gray over here, a bluer gray. So this is probably the most popular combination of complements that artists use. And the other common set of colors are red and green. So we'll make a green. So let's make a nice mid-range green using our lemon yellow, our ultramarine. See if we can get a fairly one that's not too cool and not too warm. So we'll try that green and see how that works. That's a nice green. Okay, and we'll put our red over here. And red being the strong color, we'll start adding that gradually to our green and work our way toward the red. You can see it immediately starts muting it, and look how fast that red turned to brown. I mean, it just happens so fast. So let's add a little bit more green. Let's make a green in there again with our yellow, and I'm contaminating my wells. Sorry about that. Okay, let's try to get a greenier, brownier green right here. Okay. Then we'll add a little more red to that. Now we'll push it toward we'll get toward the Let's go ahead and make that our neutral, so we'll add a little more red to that. So you see, we've got still a slight green. And if you push these colors hard to their max saturation, you can actually get a black. Okay, so now we're going more toward the red, so we're back into the browns. And as I add more red, we're coming back more to the red side so that we have a reddy brown, which is quite a nice brown actually. And if I really put the red in there, look what we get with this absolutely gorgeous brick color. So there you have it. There are 3 different ways to neutralize a color. You can neutralize a red by putting green in it, and you'll end up, you know, all the way in this range. You can neutralize a green by putting a red in it, and you'll end up with a softer muted green. The same for the oranges and the blues and the yellows and the violets. So that's one way to neutralize colors. There are other ways to neutralize colors, which we will talk about in the future. But for today, if you like this video, please subscribe, and I will continue to put these videos out in hopes of helping you grow as an artist.